Hey, everybody, welcome. And today we are talking to Pastor Andre Butler about his book, Life After Moving from Pain to Promise. And we're hoping today that you get to hear the heart behind this book and some reasons why you should read it as well. So, Andre, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Andre, tell us a little bit about the book, Life After.
Life after is something that honestly came out of some of the things that I had dealt with in my own personal life. Uh, I found that someone who grew up as a preacher's kid who had seemingly done everything right, didn't get in any real trouble, did well in school, had full scholarships, went to ministry when God called me to go instead of taking an academic scholarship. I had pastored for many years. I still found myself dealing with crisis, dealing with tragedy. And in the middle of that, God just started talking to me and helping me to see, have a little different perspective on life. First of all, recognizing that just about everybody goes through some type of tragedy, some type of crisis, period. And then that God will be God in the middle of that, that He is a God that will take you from ashes to beauty, that He is a God that will take you from bitter to sweet, that He's a God who will show up in times of trouble and restore you, and really make your life even better after whatever you went through than it was before. So, when God dealing with me about that, and then ultimately to doing some teaching along those lines, just kind of came to my heart that this was a message that more people needed to hear than just my church. And so, out of that came the book, Life After.
That's amazing. Um, tell me a little bit about, let's dive further into the motivation,
hmm
because obviously, like, we can it started as a sermon series, right, like in the church, and then
hmm
it was like, what was kind of the defining moment, or maybe a couple of the things that caused you to want to be push this further, and the motivation for this.
Well, there's a story in the Bible, I believe it's Tamar, who was raped by her brother. And the Bible talks about how after she was raped, how she basically stayed in this state of, maybe let's say, mourning or grieving. And, I noticed that in life, that there are people whose entire lives have been defined by one event. And and that's not God's will, you know? And so, uh, when a part of, I guess, the motivation for that is to help people to not have that happen, to move on, move forward. If you failed, recognize all of us have failed. All of us are an X something. You know, if other people have done things to you, recognize God saw that and God will make it right. And God has a plan to bring you to higher heights than you had before. So for me, ultimately, motivation is just a heart to help people, just to help people to come out of those type of seasons in their lives like God had helped me.
Awesome. Why should somebody read this? Why is it important for them to go through this process?
I think that one of the things that people do sometimes when they're hurting is pull away from God and pull away from the very things that God has given us to actually help us. And I've watched that. I've done that myself. I've seen other people do that as well. There's just there's this feeling of just kind of want to throw my hands in the air. I don't want nothing. I don't want to hear nothing about God. I don't want to hear nothing about the solution. But you need the solution. At some point, you've got to get past how you're feeling. You got to allow God to help you. I think that if you're dealing with difficult circumstances, you need this book. This book is going to give you hope again. This book is going to give you light again. This book is going to help you to heal. This book's going to give you a plan to go forward. This book is going to be the answer to prayer. So I think that whether you're dealing with coming out of losing a loved one, or addiction, or failure, or divorce, or whatever it is, this book's going to help you to turn the page in your life because you still have a life to live. God still has a future for you. So you need this. And that's why I wrote it.
That's amazing. Well, Pastor Andre Butler, thank you so much for sharing about this book, and I think everyone should read it, especially now during this time that we're going through. Thanks
Mhm.
for taking the time today.
Thank you for having me.